Albert Einstein by Lynne Barasch. When the solution is simple, God is answering. Imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited. Imagination encircles the world. I am neither especially clever nor especially gifted. I am only very, very curious. Life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. The only reason for time is so that everything doesn't happen at once. Joy in looking and comprehending is nature's most beautiful gift. Anyone who has never made a mistake was never tried anything new. In 1952, I was 7 years old, and my big sister Annabelle was 15. Eisenhower was running for president, and Albert Einstein was the most famous scientist and mathematician in the world. He is still. Annabelle was always my best friend. She taught me everything: how to ride my bike, how to roller skate, even how to make Toll House cookies, and she pretended not to notice when I ate some of the chocolate chips. As good as Annabelle was at everything, there was one thing that stumped her: math. She tried hard, even went to extra help math class every day before school began, but still got a D in math on her report card. One day, Annabelle came home from school with tears in her eyes. The teacher says I have one last chance to get a passing grade in math. She waved a paper at me, crying, "I have to solve this problem in 2 weeks, or else." Who does she think I am? Albert Einstein? I didn't know who that was, but the very next day I found out. One of the kids in my school brought in a photo for show and tell. "This is Albert Einstein, the most famous scientist and mathematician in the world. He figured out the theory of relativity in a room all by himself, doing math on his blackboard." I looked at the photo. Albert Einstein was old. He had kind eyes. Finally, when I got home, I ran up to our room. I could hear Annabelle, but the door was closed. I knew she was working on her math problem. Every few minutes I heard her saying things like, "Oh no, external tangent? This can't be right, and I don't get it. I just don't get it." Finally, she came out looking crushed. I tried to comfort her. "Now I know who Albert Einstein is," I told her. "He used to do all his math on his blackboard alone in his room." Annabelle growled, "And he's still at it, for all the good that does me." Still at it? I thought. I had to know more about Albert Einstein. What is his theory of relativity? Since Annabelle is my relative, maybe he could help her. I went to the library. The librarian showed me where to find books about Albert Einstein. He was born in Germany, 1879. In the early 1930s, he realized that Adolf Hitler was a threat to Jews living in Germany, especially to himself, a world-famous Jewish scientist. So in 1933, he came to America and never returned to Germany. There was a picture of Albert Einstein in front of his house in Princeton, New Jersey. He worked and taught there at the Institute for Advanced Study. Then there was a lot of confusing stuff. I didn't understand it, but I wrote it down. Albert Einstein demonstrated that measurements of time and distance vary systematically as anything moves relative to anything else. We live in space-time, not space and time. Matter bends space-time. In 1919, this theory was tested by British astronomers who observed a total solar eclipse and proved Einstein was right. There was even a letter Albert wrote to his mother saying, "The English expedition has really proved that light is deviated by the sun." What did this mean? If Albert Einstein figured all that out, he could surely solve Annabelle's math problem. But would he? Later at home, I made a careful copy of the math problem in my notebook when Annabelle was looking. Then I wrote this letter. Dear Albert Einstein, my sister Annabelle is 15. She has a lot of trouble with math, but she can do everything else in the world. Annabelle will fail math if she doesn't get this problem right, and she tries so hard. I bet you can do it, will you? Please send the answer soon. His sister, April. P.S. I am in second grade. Here is Annabelle's problem. The common external tangent of two tangent circles of radius 8 inches and 2 inches is... I put the letter in an envelope and wrote Albert Einstein, Princeton, New Jersey, on the front. The back of the envelope had our address printed on it. I found a stamp and stuck it on. Then I rode my bike to the corner mailbox. Taking a deep breath, I dropped the letter in. Even though I didn't have the exact address, I thought my letter would get to him since he was so famous. Famous. Then I started to worry. How does it actually take for a letter to get to Princeton, New Jersey? According to Albert Einstein, time passes at different speeds. Could it take a day, a month, a year? I closed my eyes and wished for the best. And when my letter gets there, will Albert Einstein even have time to open it? He'll be solving his own math problems. Oh yeah, he is. Playing violin. Not Annabelle's. Every day for a week, Annabelle came home to work on her math problem. She was getting more upset each day. I never said a word about the letter to Annabelle. What if my letter didn't get to him? By now, I was angry. Why should big, famous Albert Einstein bother with a little kid like me? What does he care if Annabelle fails math? Just when I was about to give up hope, there it was. A letter addressed to Annabelle and her sister, 98 Willow Road, Woodmere, New York. I ran to show Annabelle. Annabelle began to read the letter. There is no answer here. She was very disappointed. I give up, she cried, and throwing the letter down, stormed out of the room. Wait, Annabelle, you can't just quit, I called, but she had gone. Annabelle opened the envelope. This is from Albert Einstein, she burst out. It's a miracle. Why is he writing to us? Simple, I laughed. I wrote to him and asked him to solve your math problem. She hugged me so hard I thought I'd explode. Annabelle began to read the letter. There is no answer here. She was very disappointed. I give up, she cried, and throwing the letter down, stormed out of the room. Wait, Annabelle, you can't just quit, I called, but she had gone. I picked up the letter and began to read. Do not worry about your problem with mathematics. I assure you mine are far greater. Albert Einstein. Is he kidding? I thought. Then I turned the letter over and saw this drawing. Could the drawing be a clue? Maybe it would help Annabelle after she calmed down. She didn't come down to dinner, so I went to find her. She was taking a bath. Annabelle, what if you had a clue to help you find the answer? Would you try to solve your problem? I guess, she said. I held up Albert Einstein's drawing. Look at this, I said. Annabelle looked a long time. Wow, she said. Maybe I could figure it out. She worked until very late that night, and when I was almost asleep, I heard her say, I got it. The next day, Albert took the answer to school. The teacher was amazed. Congratulations, Annabelle. How did you do it? She asked. Well, confessed Annabelle, I must tell you, I did have a little help from Albert Einstein. Sure, of course you did, said the teacher with a kindly smile. But Annabelle didn't say a thing. She meant to keep her secret safe with me and Albert Einstein. Although he was considered, note, Although he was considered the greatest scientist of the 20th century, Albert Einstein found time to help local school children with arithmetic when they came to him. The math problem in this story was actually sent to Albert Einstein by a 15-year-old high school girl. He answered her request for help by mail, and the story appeared on the front page of the New York Times in May 1952. Here is the actual diagram and formula from Albert Einstein. Mathematicians at that time, while not questioning Einstein's method, said the diagram should have been drawn with two circles touching. There it is. This is how Annabelle worked out the problem, following Albert Einstein's diagram. Everything that is really great and inspiring is created by the individual who can labor in freedom. I think and think for months and years. 99 times the conclusion is false. The 100th time I am right. I have deep faith that the principle of the universe will be beautiful and simple. The most beautiful thing we can experience is the mysterious. It is the source of all true art and all science. He to whom this emotion is a stranger, who can no longer pause to wonder and stand wrapped in awe, is as good as dead. His eyes are closed.